welcome to the Everglade Wetland Delineation webinar. My name is Steve Comby. I'll be your presenter today. I'm the Everglade Software Project Manager. Today we'll be giving an overview of the Everglade software by going through a brief PowerPoint presentation. This will give an introduction, and then from there we'll move into actually running the software live so that you can see how to set up or define a wetland project, how to send that project to your global positioning system, how to collect the necessary vegetation, soil, and hydrology data needed to complete your wetland delineation, how to synchronize that data back to your PC, and from there how to review the data, make any necessary changes, and then lastly, how to export the Army Corps of Engineers regional determination forms for your wetland project. The Everglade concept was to provide a method for collection of tabular and spatial data necessary to automatically complete the Army Corps of Engineers determination forms. To do this, we wanted a simple process that assured a small and simple learning curve and provided a start-to-finish solution. Everglade is currently available for all wetland regions within the contiguous United States and Alaska. This includes the Arid West region, Western Mountain Valleys and Coastal region, Atlantic and Gulf Coastal Plain region, Midwest region, Great Plains region, North Central and Northeast, Eastern Mountains and Piedmont, and the Alaska region. So a person who purchases the Everglade software gets the information for all of those regions. There are two Everglade components. There's Everglade EvDesktop, which is used to create, manage, and export the completed wetland determination forms, and it also handles the communication between your computer and your mobile GPS. And then there's also EvMobile, which is a mobile component used to collect the tabular and spatial data necessary to collect the data for your wetland delineation. Everglade EvDesktop is used to build, edit, and export new projects. You can see there's just one screen that you fill out with the project name, the project path. This is where your information is saved. You choose the region that you're working in, the project site, the associated state and county, and the applicant and owner information, as well as some additional information regarding the project. Once that information is completed on the desktop, this information is sent to your global positioning system and is run in EvMobile, where you collect the data for the field. The data can be collected in points, lines, or polygons. The EvMobile has a very intuitive screen and workflow interface, and a very nice feature is the vegetation list that automatically sorts as you type in the common or the scientific name. Here's a few screenshots of EvMobile. This is the first screen that comes up when you run the software. From here you have the ability to set up your global positioning system, open projects, or tap on the About icon to gather version information and licensing information about Everglade Mobile. To open a project, you just simply click on Open Project, and it brings up a list of all of the Everglade projects that you've defined. As you start going to the field, you can actually create very simple maps showing the points, lines, or areas where you're collecting your wetland data. Everglade Mobile is run through a series of very simple tabs across the bottom of the screen that show you your site information, vegetation information, soil and hydrology information. All of this information can be changed at any point on either Everglade EvDesktop or Everglade Mobile. This is a look at the vegetation screen. So as you're typing in the vegetation at your particular site, you can type in the scientific name or the common name. Either way, as soon as you start typing characters in there, it automatically sorts on the list and brings up a list of plant species that correspond with the characters that you've typed in. And then here's also an example of the screen for collecting your soil data. Very intuitive, just gives you a window to collect all of the data that's required for completion of the determination forms. Once the data is collected in the field and brought back to the office, it's sent from the handheld to your computer running Everglade Desktop. Here you have the ability to review and edit data. So again, working in a familiar tab environment, going from left to right, you can change project information, summary of findings, vegetation, and soil and hydrology data, as well as see a simple map of the data that you've collected in the field. And after everything is completed and reviewed, you can export the completed determination forms, save those as Word or PDF forms, print those out, whatever you need to do with those. You can also export the shaped files directly to a GIS of your choosing. Here's some copies. We'll do this later, but here's some copies of the completed determination forms for a particular region. But again, we will go through this in just a few brief minutes and show you the start to finish of an Everglade project. Okay, it looks like we're at that point right now, so we'll close out the PowerPoint presentation. So let me minimize that, and I'll run the Everglade software. So this is the first screen that comes up in Everglade after you click on the Everglade icon. So to create a new project, you would just simply click on the New Project icon or go to File, New Project. So we'll give this project a name, and we'll give it a name that corresponds with our webinar today. So we'll just say 6/18/13 webinar. And we'll store this to my Everglade projects path. We'll choose a region that we want to work in today, and we'll just choose the local one here for most of this area. Project site. And the corresponding state. And the counties automatically sort themselves for whatever state that you choose. So you can choose a county off of that and then put in project information. And if you have the section township range information, the subregion information corresponds with the region, with the wetland region that you selected. And then you can put the soil map unit name and any additional information to complete these forms. Now again, you also have the ability to put this information again in on the handheld, and when you're finalizing the project, after you've collected your field data, you can change any of this information again. So we'll say OK to that, and now we'll send this information over to our handheld. So you'll see now that this project has been defined in Everglade Desktop, this sync icon has become visible, and I can click on that. And in this case, I'm going to send this project to my global positioning system. So we'll say send to handheld. And just click on the necessary dialog boxes to say OK and enter done to that. And for now, we're going to minimize the Everglade Desktop screen. In reality, if you were going out to the field for a day or a week or two, you would, of course, just exit out of this. In our example, we'll just minimize this and move on. The handheld that we're going to run today is the Juniper Systems Mesa. I really like the Mesa because of the large screen environment. So it's very good for outdoor field data collection. Extremely rugged unit, meets submersion, drops to concrete. In fact, there's a very entertaining YouTube video you can watch called the Juniper Systems Mesa Torture Test Montage, which will show this thing being abused every which way. But I love the large screen environment on it, especially if you're doing mapping programs, putting background imagery or anything like that on the unit. So without further ado, let's run the Everglade software. So the Mesa runs the Microsoft Windows Mobile 6.5 embedded operating system. So we'll scroll down to my Everglade icon and tap on that and run the Everglade software. Now here's the dialog box that we showed in our PowerPoint presentation. So if you're a new user, you could go into GPS setup just to find the communication ports, the baud rate, and the settings for your particular GPS. We already have that done, so we will just simply open our Everglade project and scroll down to today's webinar, the 6/18/13 webinar. It will now load the appropriate information for the region in which we're working. And we'll turn our GPS receiver on at this point. So we're going to tap on Menu, Activate GPS. And as soon as that comes on, we will start collecting data at a point. So we're going to assume that we've wandered around our wetland area. We've selected some points that we want to collect data at. Now again, we can also map boundaries as a polygon, map lines on this. So if we have a stream or a fence line that we want to walk, we can do that as well. But to start collecting data at a point, line, or polygon, I do need to enter a GPS value. Now if I don't have an active GPS, I can go into New, choose Point, and then just hand key a correct latitude and longitude into Everglade and start with that. So my GPS information's on the screen right now, shows me my current latitude, longitude, what my position, dilution, of precision is. So at 2.25, that looks pretty good. And we're currently tracking 6 satellite vehicles. So we're going to tap on New, and we're going to choose a point. And to improve my GPS accuracy out in the field, I'm going to do some point averaging. So I'm going to click that. And I can choose any number of points that I want to average. But in an effort to keep things moving along efficiently, I'm just going to average 3 at this time. So we'll say log. It's going to log 3 GPS positions, take the average of those, and if I like what I see, I'll just tap OK. And now everything that I'm collecting at this point will be associated with that latitude and longitude. Now here's the information that we entered in Everglade Desktop before we started our project this morning. I can go change any of that information, but I'm going to just start working from left to right across those tabs at the bottom. So we're currently on our project info site. I'm going to tap on the Site Info tab where I can select the appropriate landform. And slope percentage, if any. Change my subregion. I can go collect a new latitude, longitude if I want, just by tapping on GPS. And I can put in my soil map unit name and additional information. So if I just run the slider bar over there to the right-hand side, you can see additional information that comes up for my site info. We'll say we're now ready to start collecting some vegetation data. So I'm going to tap on that icon. I'm going to tap on Add. Choose the stratum. And then either on the species window or on the name, so the species would be my Latin name, the one that says name would be my common name. I can just start typing some characters there. And as I do that, It'll automatically bring up a list of those. I can put in the percent cover either by typing a number in directly to the percent cover box or using this slider bar across the bottom. And then I also have an icon to check for dominant species. So if everything looks good there, I just tap on OK, and I can continue adding additional species that may be present at the site. And just to make things a little more interesting, we'll add just one or two more species on this. So when we're completing the determination forms at the end of this project, it actually looks a little bit interesting. And now we have some additional information down here, so we'll use the slider bar to move this down. In this particular region, there's a percent bare ground in the herb stratum that we can set if we like. Percent biotic crust. Scroll down here, hydrophytic vegetation present. And then I have a remarks screen, so if I want to type in anything that's unique about my vegetation data or what I'm doing right now, I can type that in by using the virtual keyboard that pops up at the bottom. For right now, we'll move on to our soil profile. So we'll tap on it. We'll say we've dug a hole down to about 24 inches. So we'll say this is a hole from 0 to 24 inches deep. Then I can start filling in my matrix color. Get that all set up the way I like it. The matrix percent and the redox color as well. So you can see it's very intuitive and just prompts me for the information that I need. And we'll tap on OK for the soil profile. I can put in a restrictive layer if present, the depth of the restrictive layer, hydric soil present, and again, any remarks that I want to include in that as well. Now we'll tap on the soil indicators. So we have our soil indicators, so I can check any of these that might be appropriate for the particular site that I'm working on. And go to my hydrology indicators now, and the same type of thing. Anything that I think is appropriate to that site should be brought up in a drop-down list for me corresponding to the information that's requested and required of you on the determination forms. And now for my hydrology observations. So surface water present, water table present, saturation present, wetland hydrology present, etc. And then a summary, which usually corresponds to some of the selections that I made on the previous screens, will be visible here, again with a remarks field. Now once everything looks good there, I just tap on OK. And it's completed all of that information for that point. Now, if I have one of those moments where I think, oh, I forgot something, and I want to go back to that, I can just simply tap on Menu, Sampling Points, and go back and edit that point. Now, you can also custom name these points, too. So in any of the first screens here, so if I would have went to Sampling Points, selected that particular point, and choose to edit it, I can go to this right here, run my finger stylus over new point 1 on the sampling points and type in any name that I want for that point. So we can make changes to that as well and name those to be descriptive as you see fit. Now, if we're moving on to a second point right now, we would do exactly the same thing. Just go to New, choose Polygon, Point, or Line, and proceed through exactly the same way that we did for this. But because we want to move this along and get the data back to EvDesktop and create our determination forms, we'll end the session right here. So to end the session, we'll go to Menu, Close Project, takes us back to our main screen, and then we could exit out of Everglade Mobile if we like by tapping on the Exit button. So with our fictitious data collection scenario, we're now coming back into the office. We connect our global positioning system with USB cable to our computer. And depending on whether you're running Microsoft Windows XP or Windows 7, there's different ways those computers handle the communication. But with Windows XP, it uses ActiveSync. With Windows 7, there's a mobile device center. Either way, it forms a partnership that links up my unit, and then I can start running Everglade Desktop. And if I close this down, I would want to go back in here, tap on this Open folder, and open an Everglade project that I'm working in. It brings that to the screen, shows me the name of it and all the information, and then this sync icon will be visible. So in this case, we're going to sync from the handheld, so we're going to bring in our wetland information. So we'll prompt it to get the files. Because it's already created the project, it already has files there, although they don't include the data. So we'll say, yes, we want to overwrite these. Tells me they've been received successfully, so we'll click on OK, say that we're done. And now we can see all of the information, and we have tabs across the top of this so we can edit, add any additional information. Sometimes people comment that they'll bring some plants back from the field. Key those because they may not have been able to recognize those in the field. If that's the case, you can go over to your vegetation and you can start typing in the plant species name here. And whatever percent cover it might have, indicator status, things like this, and all of this will be taken into account in the computations that are taking place over here on the right-hand side of the screen for the dominance test and the prevalence test, which is already completed for you based on the information that you collected in the field. So we'll scroll down through that, letting you see what it's like. And again, emphasize that any of this information can be edited or added to back in the office later. The same thing with my soil and hydrology data too. So if you wanted to add any additional comments or remarks, check any of the hydric soil indicators or the problematic hydric soils, you can do that at this screen. And the same thing with the hydrology screen. Check to see if there's anything else that needs to be added here. And you can see a map of all of the places that you collected data. Now, it's very boring with just the single point that we put on there, but you can see that it can be customized, that if you mapped, say, around a pond area, you could have that filled in with whatever color you wanted. If that was mapped as a polygon, if you mapped lines, you can have those color-coded to whatever you want. And again, emphasize all of this raw information is stored as a shape file also, so if you wanted to bring that information into programs like ArcGIS and create a map for your clients, you can easily do that. So at this point, if I like everything that I see on there, I can go over to File, Export, and we'll call this 0613, excuse me, 061813 webinar project. Save that. And that was exported successfully. We'll answer that we want to view that, and it's going to bring this up by default in Microsoft Word. So you can see that my determination form is all completely filled out for me with the project and site information, summary of findings, my vegetation data is all listed here. You can see the dominance test worksheet completed, the prevalence index worksheet completed, hydrophytic vegetation indicators. I have a place for my remarks, my soil information, hydric soil indicators, hydrology, etc. So just like you would see if you went out to the internet and downloaded the Corps of Engineers determination forms. Now at this point, we haven't locked these sheets, so you can add and edit these sheets as necessary. So if you want to go in right now, some people like to customize these things, add additional input. You can type anything you want on these sheets and then save them as a Word file or as a PDF at this point, or print those out. So you'll see another thing that we've added recently for customer requests. We've been updating the software on quite a regular basis, is we're putting the name of the project on any of the second and third pages that are applicable for that specific region's determination form. But again, you can go in here and type remarks, anything again that you think is pertinent. You can make edits to this and then save those. So with that, that's kind of taken us from A to Z with our Everglade Wetland Determination Software. Again, remind you, with this format we're running today, all of our clients are muted. I will send some follow-up emails to you if you've had some questions about anything to do with Everglade, global positioning systems, data collection. Please let me know. If you haven't heard from me within an hour or two, please just send me an email back, and we'll get that information